Hey, what is up guys, Robin here from RBN Hardware. In today's video we're going to discuss and talk about no discovered big Navi leaks and rumors, and we may finally have clock speeds and performance numbers for several GPUs. I also want to say that I got tons of upcoming gaming PC builds just around the corner for you guys, so in case you're interested in that, make sure to subscribe to never miss an episode. Now, if you happen to miss my last video, AMD indicates that they will have plenty of GPUs ready at launch. In case you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend having a look at it. Find it linked up down below. So let's get into the interesting stuff here. Our user called Avenue78 has apparently received a couple of images through DMs, and based on leaks and info we've been able to gather from various leakers across the internet, these images guys seem very accurate. According to this user, two Navi 21 variants have been tested in Ashes of the Singularity, whereas one of these GPUs is performing above the RTX 3080 with striking distance to the RTX 3090. The user also states that it sounds like both of these cards could be quite expensive. For reference here guys, Radeon has discovered a total of 4 SKUs or variants of the Navi 21 GPU, whereas XTX being the top GPU and XE being the lowest one. And we're gonna come back to this in just a second. Anyway guys, this leak to me sound like one of the cards could be the allegedly top 80 CU card. Now this might be the so-called Halo SKU that AMD have been talking about. Now this card will most likely be water cooled. With all things considered, we think that this card could be quite expensive. Is this the 6900 XT perhaps? What do you think? Let us know down below. In terms of pricing, we don't know where this card will end up, but I would honestly be quite surprised if it's cheaper than the RTX 3080. After all guys, it is supposed to be a Halo product. Lastly guys, the user states that AMD will have 4 cards ready at launch, where we can assume that Big Navi will be one of the 4 cards for sure. But this obviously begs the question, how can we be so sure that any of this information is correct? While it is very hard to verify any of this info, Paul on Red Gaming Tech, which has his own exclusive sources, actually seems quite confident that these claims would be accurate. However guys, again, I feel like this cannot be stressed enough. Until anything's been official, we should all treat rumors with a grain of salt. Now there's also been a huge discovery where a user called STBLR on Reddit been able to figure out most of the technical specifications of AMD's upcoming Navi 21, 22 and 23 GPUs. Now the information was reverse engineered from drivers present in the macOS, and this info is likely legitimate. So let's dive into this massive leak, and let's start with Navi 21. Here we find 80 CUs or compute units, got a clock speed of 2.2 GHz boost clock and 22.5 teraflops of compute performance. We also see that Navi 21 appears to have 2 further variants. We got Navi 21A and 21B, with the former clocking up to 2.2 GHz. Yeah, again guys, I want to stress the fact that we know that there should be another 2 variants of GPUs in the making, so whether these are the top variant or lower end SKUs remains to be seen. But in terms of performance, again, this card is pushing 22.5 teraflops in single precision compute performance. And for comparison, the NVIDIA RTX 3080 has a single precision compute performance of 29.8 teraflops. Based on the info we gathered so far, it seems like this will be a lower end Navi 21 GPU. But yeah, 22 teraflops of power should be plenty for gaming at 4K. Now Navi 21 will come with 2 VRAM configurations. We have 12GB and 16GB, whereas the latter one should be more than enough for 4K textures. Next up we got Navi 22. This one is getting 40 CUs. We got a boost clock that is going all the way up to 2.5, and we're looking at 12.8 teraflops of compute performance. This one seemed to be getting 2560 shaded cores. But from the look of it, what's most interesting here is without a doubt the core clock speed. We're looking at 2.5 GHz here for Navi 22. This should result in 12.8 teraflops, and that puts it slightly above the Xbox Series X, and it should be more than enough for 4K gaming. We also find some interesting details of Navi 23. Now this CPU seems to be getting 32 CUs, and this results in 2048 cores. But unfortunately right now now we don't have any info in regards to clock speeds, which is a good indication that this GPU is still in the testing phase. Now something worth having in mind here guys, that all these numbers are referring to traditional rasterization performance, and I want to stress this again guys, according to most rumors out there, Navi 2 is a bit behind Ampere when it comes to hardware based ray tracing. In terms of pricing, again guys, take this with a grain of salt, but there's been a couple of rumors suggesting that AMD will try and undercut Nvidia, and if you think about it, it makes quite a lot of sense. From the look of it, it seems that AMD is opting for a smaller memory bus, and thanks to a larger cache, they still seem to be able to reach RTX 3080 performance. Now this choice of design is said to be less expensive than having a wider bus, and on top of that, traditional GDDR6 memory is said to be much cheaper in comparison to GDDR6X we find on the 3080. However, N7P from TSMC is said to be a bit more expensive than Samsung's 8nm, but there are obviously going to be more to this story, so make sure to subscribe to the channel to never miss any news. In the meantime guys, what do you think about AMD's upcoming GPUs? Let us know in the comments down below.